They came out in 2 hours later with my pyjamas and dressing gown and slippers and all my jewellery and said she won't be needing these. She's got 6 hours to live. Wonder if it's a UTI and it's gone to my kidneys. He thought he was going to take me to hospital and they'd give me some antibiotics and I'd come home. The girls were stood there and they said to me, "Mum, the doctor's coming in a minute and he's going to tell you they've got to amputate all 4 limbs." And I went, "Okay. How soon can you do it?" And she took one look at me and she went, "Switch the machines off. Switch the machines off. Don't let her live like that."
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I know for a fact that the delay in treatment is what caused me to lose my limbs. It costs you a fortune to get legless. I'm legless all the time. Don't cost me nothing. Raising awareness of sepsis is what saved my life. Saved me from suicide, basically. I then started getting messages. "You've just saved my life. Your video telling me about your symptoms actually saved my life." Her name is Georgie, and it is Georgie's hand. And I've got her tattoo because I don't know how the look, I don't. Can you see it? I can't. So I've got a tattoo there. I made a cheesecake with my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter, for the first time. She's 5. I've been able to hold her little hand, and it's just incredible that I'm able to do things like that now. No one will ever stop me. I don't care how many trolls are out there that come and, kind of put a nasty comment. They won't stop me from commenting about sepsis every bloody day until people get that message.
Hello and welcome to Becoming Lucy with me, Hannah.
And me, Lucy. So what if your entire life changed because of something you didn't know that you had? Today's guest wasn't taking part in any extreme sports. She wasn't involved in a serious accident. She wasn't doing anything people would consider high risk. She was simply living her life, running a business, making plans, and thinking about the future like most of us do.
But in November 2017, Kim became unwell. Most of us have had a urinary tract infection. It's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant, but it's usually something we can recover from. And what started as a UTI, she didn't even know she had actually, would suddenly develop into sepsis. And within weeks, Kim was fighting for her life.
The next thing Kim remembers is waking up after 9 weeks in a coma, only to be told that all 4 of her limbs would need to be amputated.
And I think what people hear, and they immediately focus on the physical side of the story, the surgeries, the rehab, learning to live again. But actually what stayed with us the most was not what Kim lost, it's what she found afterwards.
Because this isn't just a conversation about sepsis. It's about identity. It's about grief. It's about rebuilding a life you never planned for. And it's about discovering what you're capable of when every certainty you've ever known disappears.
And today, Kim is raising awareness around sepsis, disability, and organ donation. She's using her voice to educate others, challenge perceptions, and show what's possible after life-changing adversity. And after years of rehab, she's doing many things people told her she would never do again.
And since becoming a quadruple amputee, Kim has rebuilt her life in ways she could never have imagined. She's become a sepsis awareness ambassador, an advocate for organ donation, and a hand transplant recipient, and somebody helping thousands of people through her story. But perhaps the most powerful thing she has said, "I died in that hospital room, and a new version of me is here now." Today, we're talking about survival, identity, resilience, second chances, and what it really means to rebuild your life when everything changes. And this is Kim's story.
Welcome to Becoming Lucy, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. Sounds like a different person now. It was a lifetime ago that it happened in a way, but it was like just yesterday and another. It's crazy.
Well, honestly, we always talk about how we meet or get our guests. And actually, we found you and we came after you. We saw Kim's work and awareness online, and we instantly found ourselves drawn to her story. And not actually just because of what happened to you, it's the way you speak about it. There's warmth, there's honesty and perspective that makes people stop and listen. So we're super grateful that you've accepted to come on our podcast. And we cannot wait to dig deeper into your story.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be nice because I think people need to hear it. You know, it's a warning for everybody. It really is, and that's why I do what I do on social media, to warn other people so that they either don't go through what I went through or worse, death, because that is what the scenario of sepsis can be. It literally can be you become a quad amputee and your life gets kind of turned upside down and inside out and shaken all around like something you wouldn't believe, or you die. And you know, if you are extremely lucky and you know about sepsis and you know about the symptoms and you get to hospital fast, you're fine. You get treatment. It's great. I mean, I've had sepsis 3 times, and each time now that I have it, I go straight to hospital. I go, I lost all 4 limbs. Well, I can't now because I've got a hand, but you know, I would have said, I lost all 4 limbs because of sepsis and I had a UTI, and I believe now I've got the symptoms again, and they're really quick at getting me seen. So I am very fortunate that they listen, but I would
Yeah.
make them listen anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing we do love doing on this podcast, Kim, is understanding the person before their life change. So when people obviously hear your story, like you've just mentioned, the amputations, we mentioned the hand transplant, and obviously they see the resilience. But before any of that, there was just simply Kim. Obviously, you were building a life, making plans, looking forward to the future.
Yeah.
No idea what was about to happen. So take us back there before the hospitals, before the sepsis, before everything changed. Who was Kim?
I was a businesswoman. I had my own hairdressing business. I was a mobile hairdresser. I had been for many, many years. I'd worked in salons and then decided to go out on my own. And I also had a kind of a wedding business, really, where I decorated venues with balloons and chair covers and that kind of thing. And I was extremely busy. I literally worked 7 days a week. And if I wasn't working, I didn't know what to do with myself because that was just me. I was just constantly on the go. And I was always you know, I redesigned my own websites. I done everything for myself. I didn't kind of sit still and just expect it to come to me. I just worked really, really hard. And we decided that we would kind of take some chill time and we'd go out to Spain and we'd stay in the villa and have a few months of rest. And we hadn't been there long when I became ill. And it's kind of like I don't remember so much of it, and it's kind of hard because I'll ask the family questions even now, and they go, "Oh, I can't remember," you know, or they'll say, "Oh, this happened or that happened," but there's still a lot that I don't know what happened. I know that I started to get symptoms of sepsis, but I had no symptoms of a UTI. Although now I get back pain when I've got a UTI. I think that may well have been one of the symptoms, but because I suffered with a bad back because of my job anyway, I don't seem to suffer with it sat in a wheelchair. But before with my job, I always had a bad back. So maybe I did have a symptom, but I didn't realise it was a symptom.
And just on that note, Kim, just interested to kind of go back to when you went to Spain. You were having some time off, some chill time, and we speak a lot about your body is the sign that something's obviously wrong, and when you need to rest, sometimes it's mentally, sometimes it's physically. So, do you think that time in Spain sort of amplified this condition in terms of the UTI because you were resting? Do you think if you had continued on, maybe it would have happened at a later stage or not at all? Or are you a believer that kind of that was meant to happen to you and you're kind of that when you climbed?
Yeah, I'm a great believer in things happen for a reason. And, you know, I do think it happened for a reason. It's, you know, kind of the reason was to kind of knock me down and make me rebuild my life to warn other people, you know, because literally raising awareness of sepsis is what saved my life, saved me from suicide, basically. I was in a really bad way when I came out of hospital, and I wouldn't admit it. I wouldn't tell people I was depressed. I would put on that smiley face and I would still be me. And my daughter knew, and she, in the end, said to me, look, you've got to go to the doctors. You've got to get some depression and antidepressant tablets and things. And I kind of agreed grudgingly, because that wasn't me. I would just carry on, and I don't need that, but I did need it for a little while. I did need it, but then she suggested going on social media and doing a video and telling my story, and I'd done one, and it literally popped, and it went 3.5 million. I was like, wow. That was on, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the app's name, but anyway, the very popular one. And it went 3.5 million. And from then on, that was it. I just started to occasionally do a video, to the point where now I do probably, it depends on what mood I'm in. I'll post 2 or 3 a day, sometimes 4. I just want to get it out there. I want people to know about sepsis to save their lives, but also because I'm an organ recipient now, I want people to also know about organ donation and also disabilities, because it's so important that people kind of learn about disabilities. I had no idea how difficult it was as a wheelchair user until I became one.
Yeah.
It's just, you just think, oh, they're in a wheelchair. You don't realise that, well, when there's a drop curb, or there's a bloody electric scooter in the way, or something when you're going down the road to the shops, that you can't get past it, or, you can't, cars parked across drop curbs and you can't get past, and things like that. So you've got to go a mile round to find a drop curb to get round that vehicle to go where you want to go, kind of things like that.
Definitely relate with that. I don't know if you know anything about me, but I had an accident 2 years ago, and again,
wow.
I'm kind of making it better, but now and again in a wheelchair, and you can literally, the things you notice when you're in one, I think everyone in a business needs to sit in a wheelchair and go around their business and go from there.
Absolutely.
But circling back, Kim, when you were in Spain, this was November 2017, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When did you realise then something wasn't right? What symptoms were you experiencing?
So on the 27th, it would have been, I was feeling quite unwell, and I'd got severe breathlessness that I put down to my asthma and climate change because of being in Spain. And we were quite high up where we were. I'd got severe breathlessness, like I say, so I thought that was the asthma. And then I'd got extreme shivering, but it was November, it was cold. I'd got the central heating on in the villa, and I'd got thick jumpers on, and I've got blankets around me, and I'm sitting there shivering, and I'm just like, well, it's cold. And my husband says, it's like a greenhouse in here, it's too hot, I'm going to go and sit outside, and he's fanning himself, and I'm like, it's not, I'm cold. I had really cold hands and feet and couldn't get them warm. And I now know that these are the symptoms of sepsis, but I had no idea what sepsis was back then. I had absolutely no idea. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know any of the symptoms. And there are literally millions and billions of people out there that still have got no idea what sepsis is.
And I think for sure, Lucy and I can probably agree that before this podcast, I mean, we had heard of sepsis, but we have spoken to a few people about it, and it is so scary how it goes so quickly to being a symptom to suddenly, you have a risk of dying, like you mentioned earlier. So your symptoms then, you've said before that, you want to make sure people know what they are. Can you just give us a few symptoms? Obviously, you've said the cold hands and feet, and the back pain was linked to the UTI. So can you explain the physical symptoms so people can kind of go, do you know what? I'll keep that in the back burner just in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's slurred speech and confusion, extreme shivering and muscle pain, passing little or no urine in a day, severe breathlessness, it feels like you're going to die, skin mottled or discoloured, skin cold to touch, vomiting, diarrhea, your heart can be racing, your temperature can be higher or lower than normal, your blood pressure can be higher or lower than normal. And they are just some of them. They are the main ones. For me, I'd got some of those symptoms, but I just knew a gut feeling that something wasn't right.
Hmm.
And I just thought, I'm really not well and I don't know what it is. And I started to get pain in my left kidney area. And I thought, I wonder if it's a UTI and it's gone to my kidneys. And because I'd got these symptoms and really genuinely didn't feel that well, I thought, do you know what? Instead of going into the doctors in town where you can't get internet, I'll go to the hospital. The hospital will probably have people that speak English more and they'll be able to translate or whatever. But no, they didn't. And I went to this window and I just said to the lady in my little bit of Spanish, dolor aquí, which means pain here, and pointed to my left kidney area in my back. So they sent me for an x-ray and sent me home saying nothing's broken. No other tests were done. I stupidly didn't say muy enfermo, I'm very ill. I didn't say infection, which I know how to say in Spanish because it's similar to English. It's just infección. So even if I'd have said infection, they may have understood. But because I didn't know how to say urine or kidney, I didn't say the word infection. And so hindsight's a great thing. And I just think, God, if only I'd have said, pienso infección, muy enfermo. I think infection, I'm very ill. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't say it. I
And you
didn't
also,
say That's the confusion as well with the sepsis, you see. So that was
you don't want
about
to
the
put it on them,
27th.
do you?
No. And then on the 28th, I don't remember doing it, but I'd apparently done a screenshot on my phone and my daughter found it. And I'd done it on the Translate app and I'd put in there, I think I have a urine infection. And I'd screenshot it from English to Spanish and taken it to the doctors in town. Because like I say, you can't get internet in town. And I'd waited to see the doctor and shown the doctor and he said, oh, here's a prescription for antibiotics. And when my husband went in the chemist for the antibiotics, they said, oh, we haven't got any in today. Come back tomorrow. But I do know now that those oral antibiotics wouldn't have worked anyway. I needed to go to hospital for IV antibiotics. I was already in septic. I had sepsis. I don't know if I was septic shock. I think I probably was. At that point, I actually think I probably was in septic shock. I went home.
Explain what that is then, Kim. What's septic shock?
Septic shock is when your organs literally start to shut down. So your kidneys, your liver, your heart, your lung, everything, all your vital organs begin to shut down. I went home and I went to bed, which isn't like me because I would normally just carry on. I didn't even make the dinner. Or maybe I had made it earlier and my husband dished it up. I don't remember. But I went to bed. I didn't have dinner. And I woke him at 4 a.m. and I said, you've got to take me to hospital. I'm dying. And he took me to hospital. He thought, bless him, and I always laugh because he thought he was going to take me to hospital and they'd give me some antibiotics and I'd come home. And I kind of laugh because I think, God, he really couldn't see how ill I was. He just didn't look.
It sounds like as well, though, Kim, like you are like a warrior in terms of how busy you used to keep yourself working 7 days a week. So he just saw you thinking, okay, well, she's normally not unwell. She's powerful. She'll get through this. So I think he was so used to you being like that as a personality that he didn't know what to think. And I bet, now I'm sure he sits there and thinks, God, what if I had done that? And he shouldn't do, of course. But
No.
I can imagine the kind of personality you are. He was thinking, she'll be fine. Kim's not going to, this not going to happen to Kim. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, how terrifying it must have been for him when it just kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to hospital and they made him wait in the family area, waiting room. And they came out to him 2 hours later with my pajamas and dressing gown and slippers and all my jewellery and said, she won't be needing these. She's got 6 hours to live, I think it was.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, they thought I was going to die. They didn't think I was going to survive. They said I'd got 6 hours to live. So he went home and phoned the family and then they're frantically trying to get a flight over. And then they couldn't see me until the next morning because in Spain they only allow visitors in ICU 3 times a day. And only once of those visits are they allowed to actually gown up and go into the room to the patient. And that wasn't allowed until the lunchtime. So when they were allowed in at the lunchtime, I think it was Becky, my youngest daughter, that pulled back the sheet to hold my hand. And they all gasped because my hands had already gone purple. So they then knew at that point I would lose my hands. So,
So Kim, let's obviously you saw mine and Lucy's reaction then when
Yeah.
not expecting you to come out and say that and we just sort of talked about it all spiraling out of control. But wow. So at that point then you went back into hospital at 4 a.m. They obviously then took you and placed you in a coma straight away, or how did you get into ICU?
I have got no idea because I don't remember any of it. I vaguely remember talking to the nurse on the bed when I first went in, but only vaguely. And after that, I don't remember anything. I don't know how soon I was put into a coma. I don't know if I was left there for hours before they put me into a coma or whether it was kind of almost immediately. I have got no idea. I just know that they went to my husband after 2 hours and said, here's a thing, she could die.
And obviously, my brain is going. I feel like Lucy's is the same. So obviously, there was that time frame where you were unwell, went doctors, went hospital, didn't really get the treatment that you needed, and all the while, obviously, sepsis was developing, and you were in sepsis shock. And then you went to the hospital, like you said. You vaguely remember talking to a nurse, and then you were placed into a coma. Do you feel like this gap in treatment basically it caused you to lose your limbs because sepsis took over your body?
100%. I know for a fact that the delay in treatment is what caused me to lose my limbs. Had they have treated me when I first went to hospital, had they have done checks, had they have checked my blood pressure and my temperature, because they are the first things that any hospital will check before they then do a blood test. If they'd have checked those, they would have had red flags that my temperature was either way sky high or really, really plummeted low. And that would have been the first red flag. And then if they'd have taken my temperature as well, that would have been either high or low. And that would have been the second red flag. And then they should have done a blood test.
Yeah.
So
I
had
always
they have
argue
been done,
about the blood test now.
had they have been done, then I wouldn't have lost my limbs.
And how does that make you feel that you were sort of diagnosed, mistreated? Like, how does it make you feel about that?
Well, I was definitely mistreated. Yeah, I came back to England with grade 4 pressure sores, so the treatment in Spain wasn't great. I was angry in the early days, but at the end of the day, it happens here in the UK too.
Yeah.
So it happens here. So at first I was blaming Spain. I was like, it's Spain's fault, it's Spain's fault. And my youngest daughter would say to me, Mum, but they kept you alive. And I'm like, yeah, but only barely.
Yeah.
So at first I was really angry. But then I just decided, like I say, to focus on raising awareness of it and put that behind me, because there's no point in dwelling on that anger and everything else. I needed to get on with my life and rebuild my
It's not
life.
going to change anything, is
No,
it, going
no.
forward? And I think that's a really good point, because I've had an infection in my leg that unfortunately I've had a load of issues with, and luckily it hasn't hit sepsis because they've done the bloods. Or like last time I told them to do the bloods, because then, don't you, what it's capable of? Because I remember my first infection, I didn't think anything of it because it wasn't coming out of the body, it was just swollen. And the first time I went to the medical centre, they said, oh, you sprained your ankle. I was like, how? I can't even walk, never mind sprain it. How can I do any muscle damage? And then once I got to the hospital, luckily I knew one of the nurses. She says, we're doing your blood straight away. And again, it was not far off from hitting that marker. So I think that's very important for anybody. I think, like you said, if you know or you feel it, fight for it and say, no, I want my blood done. And I think that's a very important message for anyone who's listening today.
Absolutely. And I think people don't know that they're entitled to a second opinion, and that they can actually, if they don't trust that doctor's judgment and they think, actually, no, I don't think you're right, you can ask for a second opinion. And I tell people, make sure you ask. If you don't think they're right, ask for a second opinion. It's so important.
And we've said before on this pod about advocating for yourself and, making sure that you don't just take that opinion, like you said, if you feel like deep down there's something more going on, and you know, anytime you feel something that's not quite right, just get it checked, you know.
Yeah.
Get it checked. And it is easier said than done, because you are going to have that balance of, do you know what, it might be because I do a job that I'm strained my back. You know, you said that you felt your back pain that led to the UTI, didn't even know you had it, you know. And I get quite worried about what is normal and what's not. You know, I am a hypochondriac, and anytime I have something, I'm always like, this could be, you know, a disaster. And it's like, I don't want to waste that time of doctors and nurses. So it's finding that balance in your own brain as well to go, right, take stock. Is this something that needs to be escalated, or have you just pulled something?
Yeah.
So it's hard, isn't it, to work out
Yeah.
what to do.
And
Yeah.
I think what's important too, just to raise a little bit for our listeners, I know a guy, again, being in the fitness industry that I was, he hadn't hurt himself. There was no there was nothing. It was just an underlying infection in his body. But the fact that, as fitness people do, they overwork themselves, you burn out. He got sepsis from that. So it doesn't mean you have to have an infection or anything that's gone
No,
wrong
it
with
does.
you.
No, it does. You
Oh,
have to
really?
have an
He told
infection.
me.
No,
He said it was like an underlying infection in his body that came up. Ah, right. Here we go.
He had to have had an infection to develop sepsis.
Somewhere.
You
Right.
can't just have something underlying to get sepsis. It's got to be an infection. You can only develop sepsis from an infection.
Right.
It's
So you
because
said
your
it was
immune
underlying.
system goes crazy to fight the
It does.
infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it goes crazy to fight the infection, instead of fighting the infection, it actually turns on itself. So it starts destroying the organs and shutting them down.
So that's what it does then. It's fighting that hard to kill the infection that basically
It doesn't kill the
it's like,
infection. It actually causes sepsis to develop instead.
Right.
oh God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, education, we love this
Yes.
podcast because we learn so much. And I'm just now thinking, right, let's go back to that coma then. You're in ICU, obviously, you know, that story of your daughter lifting the sheet and seeing your hands, and them coming to the realization that, you know, they are losing a version of their mum that that a week ago or whatever was on holiday. But actually you spent 9 weeks in a coma, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what you know,
Motion
what
at your stick-up cam.
Sorry.
oh,
Sorry.
what was that?
Was that you?
It was my stick-up cam coming on the side.
What's a
Sorry.
stick-up cam?
It's like the Ring doorbell, but it's the cameras from out.
Oh.
We will definitely keep this in the episode, by the way. Yes. So, Kim, 9 weeks in the coma. Did you get any kind of like medical reports from Spain? And did you obviously read them afterwards? Were your family reading them? You know, when was it that you flew back to the UK? Like, talk us through that kind of period.
I had them translated into English, my medical records. There's not a lot that you can see to understand or anything. It's very sporadic, shall we say. There's no telling when I was put in the coma. There's no telling when I was given a certain antibiotic or a certain other medication or kind of any treatment really that was given. It was just they recorded certain things and that was kind of it, and they didn't really know what was going on. Yeah, they're not the greatest of records to kind of let me know about my care. I was literally laid on my back in Spain for 6 weeks without being turned. I came back to England. My travel insurance finally flew me back to England after 6 weeks. And I arrived back to Milton Keynes Hospital, where I live in Milton Keynes. Had been told that my fingers and toes were black. They just said that I'd got necrosis of the digits. My legs were black and my bloody hands were black. My arms were black nearly up to my elbows. And they're telling them it was my fingers, like, you know, seriously? They just, when they unwrapped me and they took one look at me, they were like, oh my God, they didn't realise I was in such a state. And the doctors took my girls into the office and they said, we don't think she's going to make it. The next 48 hours are critical. And my Gemma said, don't tell me that. They've been telling me that for 6 weeks in Spain. She's still here. She's fighting. She's going to survive.
Oh.
And I'll never forget when I woke up from that coma and the girls were stood there and they said to me, Mum, the doctor's coming in a minute and he's going to tell you they've got to amputate all 4 limbs. And I went, okay. And then I just literally, when the doctor came in and he told me, and I just went, yeah, how soon can you do it? I just wanted them off because I couldn't move my hands or legs. It was like somebody had superglued them to the bed or something. They were literally, I couldn't move them. And it was just over a week afterwards that I was moved from ICU over to, well, I was moved to another ward and then over to Bedford. And I had my amputations done at Bedford Hospital.
And your family then, obviously, your girls sound like just as strong as you, which is amazing. And I feel like they were obviously advocating for you for the whole time. Have you, obviously, you've spoken to them, but what have they told you about that time, the 6 weeks that you're in Spain, then you're obviously in Milton Keynes, and your husband as well? Like, what have they told you about what they were going through during that time?
They haven't really, because they were just focusing on me. They haven't told me about how they suffered. And obviously they did suffer, because who the hell wouldn't? When your mum's in a coma for 6 weeks, 9 weeks, it's just like they didn't know if I was going to live or survive. They didn't know if I would survive. It must have been horrendous for them. They're trying to work, they're trying to keep their families going, they're trying to, do everything as well as kind of worrying about me. I think Steve was just walking around like a zombie, didn't know what to do, didn't. Yeah, he was just lost because I'd done everything. I mean, he didn't even know how to go to the bank and get any money out because I used to do it all. So, the girls would have to help him with that. And it was just, it was just really hard for them all, I think. I mean, my mum just took one look at me when they came in that room that day, and she took one look at me and she went, switch the machines off. Switch the machines off. Don't let her live like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
thought you were
God.
And I'm
suffering.
like, yeah, cheers, Mum.
Oh,
She meant it from a good place, but I think,
Yeah.
I
No.
can
I've
imagine.
always said if I'm in a coma and I'm going to be left a vegetable, switch off the machines. Do not let me live like that. I've always said that.
I mean, obviously, your mum
But
was just doing what you wanted, but the great thing is that it I mean, it mentally, emotionally, it would have affected you. And we are definitely going to talk about that as we move through your story. But at that point, it wasn't about brain damage; it was the physical reaction from sepsis. So,
yeah.
what's so great is that the doctors and your daughters and your husband would have been able to explain that to your mum. So, obviously, she was wanting to follow through with your wishes about the coma side of it, but brilliant that they, were like, no, she's still in there. It's just the physical reaction.
Yeah.
Having a mum in a coma, I can resonate because my mum's also been in a coma for a very long time. So I suppose I can resonate with your daughters on that. But
I think my mum thought I wouldn't want to live without my limbs, but at the end of the day, life is what you make it. And I still enjoyed it. I've gone and thrown myself out of an aeroplane and done a skydive.
Wow.
I'm going to do a zip wire soon for charity. I went to do it
I've
recently.
seen that, yeah.
I went to do it recently, but I couldn't do it because I've had the hand transplant and I've got to wait for a year after surgery. So I've got to wait till September now. But,
how annoying,
I
Kim.
I know. I'm so annoyed. But yeah, I mean, nothing has stopped me. I have got no fear of anything. I'm not scared of dying. I'm not scared of spiders. I'm not scared of heights. I'm not scared of anything anymore, whereas I would have been petrified of all of them before. And, losing my limbs it literally has made me into a different person. I'm stronger. I'm stronger than ever, not physically, but mentally. I'm a better version, I think. I'm now saving lives. And what's better than saving other people's lives?
No,
I'm doing it all for free. And what money I make on I nearly said the app's name again. What money I make on a certain app on my videos, I donate to charity. Every penny goes to charity, whether it's from the shop or whether it's from the, in the sales that I make, or whether it's from my videos. It all goes to charity. Currently, it's an incredible charity that are local to me that are called Ride to Give, and they're a biker charity. And they are absolutely incredible. And I couldn't be happier to be raising money for them. And the fact that it's going on longer than I'd planned is even better for them because I'll get even more money for them.
Aw.
So they're happy too.
Well, we will definitely do some plugging for you.
Yes.
And can you take us back then, Kim, to the moment where you moved to Bedford and you had been told that you were going to have all your limbs amputated and you were moving into that space for them to obviously operate on you? Can you talk to us about how you felt at that moment? The nerves, the anxiety, or was it the complete opposite? Was it like you said in the bed, get them off? When can you do them? Talk us about that moment.
I wasn't nervous at all. I just wanted to get them amputated and get them off and be able to start moving again. I think a lot of the medication that I'd had over those 9 weeks probably helped keep me slightly sedated anyway. I don't think I was kind of fully there normally. Do you know what I mean? I think I was still a little bit away with the fairies, a little bit confused and things anyway. I'd certainly had delirium. And they took me to theatre to supposedly take one leg. But everything was going so well, they ended up phoning my daughter because she was there as next of kin and said, everything's going really well, minimum blood loss. Can we continue and take the other leg? And she said, yeah, do what you need to do. And when I woke up in the ICU and they told me they'd managed to take all 4 limbs, I went, oh, great. That means I don't have to have 4 surgeries. So I was happy. People probably think you're crazy.
I was not
You're great 'cause all
expecting
4
that.
have gone.
I was literally about to say, what were you feeling? Because that's huge. You literally go in for one leg and you wake up and all 4 limbs are gone. Like, I
Yeah,
thought
but
she's
then
going to be emotional. She's grieving,
Yeah.
like a freedom, identity.
But you won't believe the next bit, because then I looked down because my right arm, I looked because they were talking about taking it off kind of about here. And I looked down and I could see that I'd pretty much got full length of my right arm.
Right.
And I was just like, yes, they didn't take my arm. And I was happy. I was happy
You took the
because they didn't
positives.
take.
Yeah.
Exactly. They didn't take the full length that, I thought they were going to take. They left pretty much the length of my arm. And it was because the surgeon there was a plastic surgeon. And I've actually seen him again recently because he wanted to see my hand transplant. He was trying to talk me into having a hand transplant as soon as he'd amputated my limbs.
Right.
He came to me and he said, I'm the surgeon that amputated your hands. He said, and I've left your arms as long as I possibly could. He said, and I've left them open because you could have a hand transplant. And I went, no, absolutely not. There is no way on this earth. The thought of somebody else's hand on me, I was like freaking out. Like, no, absolutely not. I couldn't do that. The thought of looking at somebody else's hand on me at the time, and a lot of people have said it, so I get it. I really genuinely get it. A year after that, a quad friend of mine had a double hand transplant. And I'm like, oh, she's a brave lady. I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that. A year after that, my daughter's trying to pass me something on the sofa and I've gone like that. I couldn't reach because she sat behind me. So I put my arm behind me and I went, oh, if I had a hand, I could grab that from you. And she just went, there's your answer, Mum. And funny enough, it was the left arm that I was doing it with.
Wow.
So, this was meant to be. And so I then I messaged my friend that had had the double hand transplant. And I said to her, can we have a video chat? I need to talk to you about your hand transplant. Yeah, of course we can. So we had a little chat. And that made my mind up that I definitely wanted the hand transplant then. Because when I spoke to her, I said, how did you feel about looking at it and it's someone else's hand? And she said, Kim, I just looked at it. I moved those fingers and it's my hand. I was moving those fingers and it was my hand. And I'm like, that's it. That is it. And my mind completely switched. It's no longer that you look at it as someone else's hand. I mean, this is Georgie's hand. Her name is Georgie and it is Georgie's hand. And I often say, Georgie's hand did that. It wasn't me.
What's around the back of the head?
Sorry, Georgie's whacking you again. We kind of joke. But it is my hand and it's beautiful. And the minute I woke up, I just looked at it and I was just like, wow, what a beautiful hand. And I moved those fingers. They just get you moving, the fingertips, just tiny, tiny little bit at first. And I'm like, it's just beautiful. And it was my hand as soon as I looked at it. And so, you know, that mindset of just speaking to her and finding out. I mean, obviously her mind was on that from the start because she was wanting a hand transplant much earlier on than I was. And she had to wait 5 years for hers. I waited 4. I had 18 calls and the 19th call was the match. So it was a roller coaster. You'd get that call. You'd know it's them calling because I'd got their phone number stored on my phone and I'd go, oh, it's hand transplant team. And I'd pick the phone up. Hello, yes, I'm fit and well. And she'd laugh the other end because after a few calls, you know that that's why they're phoning to check that you're fit and well.
Yeah.
We've got a possible. And I'm like, okay. So we'll do the bloods now or we'll get consent now because sometimes they hadn't got consent and sometimes they had. So if they had got the consent, they would then have to go and do the bloods. And that's the immunology. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's the donor's blood and my blood have to be a complete match. There can't be any little things going on within either of the bloods that could cause a rejection.
Right.
And unfortunately, until my actual match, there were issues with the bloods. So they know that that person is going to be roughly around the same height as me because that's what they would look for to try and get a match for hand size to be similar.
I was going to ask you how you match. I was like, what's all the
Yeah, but I'll explain about that in a minute because that don't work.
Okay.
They know that you're the right
Lucy,
blood
wait.
group. They know that you're the right blood group. They know that you're female, that the skin colour's the right kind of skin colour. And I made them all laugh because I sent them a graph with cups of tea. And I went, well, I'll go from that really white milky one to a fairly strong cup of tea. So it was quite dark. It would be quite dark skin, but not as dark, obviously, as a black person. And that's not because I'm racist. They wouldn't have done it anyway because
Yeah.
your body mentally would reject.
Yeah.
If they put something on you like a man's hand and you wouldn't accept a man's hand, it would reject. So there were some nasty headlines in a paper a few years ago that said woman refuses black woman's hands and black man's hands. And I was like, for God's sake, they're making me look like I'm racist and I'm not. And it was nasty because then people were saying, oh, she's just fussy and she's just picky. And they wouldn't have been a match probably anyway because of ethnic. The ethnic difference, there can be a difference anyway with the bloods. So it probably wouldn't have been a blood match anyway.
Yeah.
But as for the size, they told me that they would look for somebody around 5'2", my original height. Now, my hands were tiny, and one call I got, they said she was 4'11". I thought, perfect, she'll have little hands. Have a guess how tall my donor was.
5'8".
5'11".
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, 5'11", but her
Rosie.
hand is only 2 ring sizes bigger than my hand was.
Right.
So for a
Wow.
tall girl, she had a small hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a small hand.
Kim, can I just ask about the rejection? Because you've mentioned the rejection a couple of times.
Yeah.
So would it mean that it would go on and then you would then get an infection? Because obviously that's the last thing you want because you know what an infection can turn into. So when you say rejection, does it just mean like on paper it's a rejection? You wouldn't even go into an operating theatre. It wouldn't even get that far. Or do you mean that they would put it on you and there's a potential for an infection, which is why they wouldn't risk it?
No. With a rejection, it's more the body rejecting the limb. So you're on medication for life to stop the limb rejecting or organ. It doesn't matter whether it's anything that's from a donor, be it a skin graft even, I think, eyes, internal organs and hands, obviously. Any type of transplant has to have anti-rejection medication. So if I stopped taking my anti-rejection medication, my hand would literally reject. I know of another hand transplant patient that had a rejection earlier this year, and she actually sent me a picture of what a rejection looks like, her hand. And she had, on the hand transplant part, she had lots of what looked like little red pimples, really, but quite angry red pimples. And that was a
Right.
rejection. So, but it could be a rash, it could be something like that. So what you have to do is immediately go to hospital and they pump you with extra medications. I'm not sure what the medications are. I would imagine they would up my steroids and they would probably up my anti-rejection medication as well. And as far as I know, I'm on those for life, steroids and this anti-rejection medication for life. And there are a few other medications that I'm taking as well. So whether I'm on those for life, I don't know. But definitely I will be on the tacrolimus for life, which is the anti-rejection medication. But your body could mentally, your brain could mentally reject a hand even if you're taking that medication, and it would mean it would have to be amputated, because the hand would literally die because your brain doesn't want it. Your brain won't accept it, because if they fitted me with, say, a man's hand that was a massive, great big hand or something like that. I mean, when I said to the team, I found out my donor's 5'11". I said, I thought you were going to give me someone's hand that was around 5'2". And she said, the thing was, we had to make the call. She said, you'd had so many no consent or no match that this was the 19th one and we'd finally got a match. So we had to make that call. And I guess, I don't know, but I would have guessed that they would have asked about the size of the hand. Was it big? But I remember the nurse actually coming and saying, Prof's worried the hand is a bit big. Do you feel it's too big? And I went, no, it's perfect. I just
Do you get
looked
to
at
see
like,
it then
again,
before? I know it sounds
no,
weird.
no, it's after surgery. No, it's after
Right.
surgery. No, I was unconscious by the time the hands arrived at the hospital for them to attach. No, I
Right.
didn't
And
get to see.
And for those who are watching this episode on YouTube, do you want to show Georgie? So you've been floating her around in the screen, but can you show us?
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
got her tattoo because I don't know how the look. I don't. Can you see it? I can't.
It's on
So I've got a
the
tattoo
side
there.
here, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So what does
says
the tattoo say?
it says Noli Tamire. I've only got part of it because the N is missing and the RE at the end are missing. But that's her skin going up there with her tattoo on. And
No way.
I've had it redone on my arm. Her mum gave me permission to have the tattoo redone. So I've had hands linked together, the fingers linked together with a heart and some sun rays, because her mum calls her sunshine. She's her human sunshine. So I've had it redone.
My God.
Yeah. So I've finally got a tattoo at 64 years old.
I mean, that wipes the floor on any tattoos that Lucy and I have got. My God. That's mad.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because you
blown my
obviously
mind.
just mentioned that you met Georgie's mum.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm probably skipping ahead, but I think it's the right time to say it with the whole
Yeah.
tattoo. What was that like? Was it emotional? What was said? Like, obviously, you get to know more about Georgie as well and her personality.
Yeah. It was absolutely incredible. I didn't think I was nervous. I was just excited to meet her and looking forward to it. And obviously knew that they would be grieving. I didn't know if she would come on her own or if she'd have her husband with her or children with her. I didn't know. But as it happened, she had her two other daughters with her. The eldest daughter and the youngest daughter. Georgie was her middle one. And when she walked in, I thought, oh, this must be her, because they'd sent 3 nurses from the blood transplant team and they'd sent one nurse from Leeds. The main transplant nurse that I would deal with at Leeds actually came and joined me. So Jackie had support from the blood transplant and I had support from the Leeds hand transplant team. And she walked through the door and I thought, well, this must be her. And then she came round and she said, oh, you must be Kim. And we were kind of talking. And I went, am I allowed to ask your name? Because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to ask her name. And she said, oh, yes, of course, it's Jackie. But it was as she walked through the door, I started shaking. And I don't do that. I don't get nervous. But I was really shaking. And then when I asked her name, I could feel myself choking up. And I'm like, oh my God, don't start crying now, because they're the ones that are grieving. Do you know what I mean? And I thought it wouldn't be right for me to cry. But I am an emotional person. And I did get quite emotional, kind of talking to her telling me about Georgie. And Georgie had got a rare brain condition. And she was actually filmed by BBC last February. She had a rare surgery on her brain. She had something called periventricular nodular heterotopia. So it's quite a mouthful, but I've learned it. And it causes uncontrolled seizures.
Right.
And the brain operation that she had, they hoped would stop her seizures. But unfortunately, they said that sometimes after 6 months they can come back, but not as severe. She started having seizures before the 6 months was up. And the 7th seizure she had was fatal.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so it's heartbreaking because she was only 33.
I was going to ask her age, actually.
Yeah. No age at all. No age at all, you know,
Right.
and she'd had such a tough life, you know, because of the epilepsy being so uncontrolled. She could never go out alone. She couldn't have a bath on her own. She couldn't, because I'm aware of that because my daughter suffered with epilepsy when she was a teenager up into her very early 20s. If you're having a seizure and you're in the bath, you can drown. And
Yeah.
so you can't be left alone to have a bath. So it was horrible for her. You know, she had no privacy really as such. She had no life like she should have had as a young girl growing up, being able to go out and enjoy herself with her mates and do what she wanted to do, get a job. She did go to university though, bless her, and she got a degree. So good on her, you know. She didn't give up on that dream. She'd done it. She's one amazing young lady, and all what I've learned about her, she's written a book, and her book is called Freaks Like Me. It's no longer available on Amazon, but her mum's just had a load printed. So she's just had a load printed again. So her sister's currently selling them. But the book, oh my goodness, I needed a box of tissues to read it. It was just heartbreaking. Some of the things, you know, that she struggled with kind of hit home with me as well, you know, and I'm just like, wow, it's been a journey for her, bless her.
Yeah, it's like they
And
connected
for
you,
you,
wasn't
yeah.
it? Like reading
Yeah.
her and knowing about her, how you can connect
Yeah.
to her, like you say. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful in
And
a way.
also, like, Kim, as well, when you said before, for 2 years, you were like, not having a hand transplant, absolutely not. And it was almost like, again, it was fate that you needed Georgie's. She was the only hand that you needed to get. And then, like Lucy
And
said, that connection,
it was
recognising
the
yourself and
perfect
her.
match. It literally was the perfect match. You know, there is such a connection there with her mum and her sisters, and it's just lovely. It's like we're family now. And we chat, me and Jackie text each other a lot, and we chat, and I'm meeting her tomorrow in Liverpool. We're going to a big national collaborative meeting for the nurses for organ transplant and donation. So we're going there to do a talk, and we're meeting up tomorrow morning in Liverpool. So yeah, it's just lovely. So we'll have a good old chinwag and a good natter in the taxi on the way to the meeting. So yeah, it's just incredible.
Oh, I love that. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I read this wrong and got it confused with your friends, but did you just have the one hand transplant, or did you have one and it
No,
rejected? Have I read it through
I
somebody
had
else?
both. I had both.
Yeah, I thought that. Because was it like 6 days later or something like that?
Yeah, 6 days later, they had to amputate the right. I was unconscious after surgery. I was dangerously ill, yet again, frightening my family for 3 days.
Oh, God.
And when I
Going through it
came round, when I came round, one of the surgeons said to me, the right hand's not looking too good. I'm not sure how it will fare over the weekend. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he said, we're going to go back in on Monday, because the plan had been they would do the surgery, and it happened on the Tuesday. They would do the surgery on the Tuesday, and on the Wednesday, they would go back in to attach all the nerves and tendons and everything else. And the reason being, the hand didn't come to the hospital at Leeds until quite late in the day. And I found out the reason for that was that Georgie's, because of her rare brain condition, it can cause problems with your heart and lungs. And
Right.
they had to check whether they could actually give the other organs. They couldn't give the heart and lungs because although Georgie's were okay, they didn't know if they might have developed something further down the line, and they couldn't risk donating them
Right.
and that happening,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
Hmm.
So they had to check, could they give the other limbs, her limbs and the other organs? And in fact, yes, they could. So she saved 3 people's lives and changed mine. So it's 4 people that she helped. And so they went in, I think they took me down to theatre. I think it was after 4:00 in the afternoon before I got to theatre. And he said, the team have been here all day waiting to do it. He said, I can't now keep them awake overnight as well. So the plan was they would go in, attach the bones and attach the blood, and then go in the next day to attach everything else. I was, yeah, that's fine. But of course I didn't wake up till Friday. And then they're not going to do it then. So they had to wait till the Monday, and they took me down on the Monday. But when he came to see me on the Monday morning, I said, what about the right hand? Have you got to amputate? Because he still hadn't told me. And I needed to know. I didn't want to wake up and it had gone. I wanted to know before I went to theatre so that when I woke up, I was prepared. And he said, I'm really sorry, but yeah, we've got to amputate. And I went, oh, okay. I said, well, that's all right, because one hand's better than nothing. Again,
bless
glass
you.
half full.
Yeah.
But you've got to look on the positive side,
You
because
really
at the end of the
do.
day, one hand is better than nothing. And this thing's a pain in the backside when it freezes, because I'm trying to do something last night and I wanted it to open, and as I put my arm out and I'm trying to get it to open, it wouldn't open. It'll open now when I want it to, but when I wanted it to open last night, it wouldn't do it. And I'm like, for
Kim,
God's
what?
sake.
Tell us what is it then? What have you got on your other arm?
This is a bionic prosthetic hand. So
Right.
it literally works by the muscles in my arm. So people keep saying, how does it work? So when I flex up, it'll open. And when I flex down, it will close. So it's like that muscle will go up. As I do it, that muscle will go up in my arm. And as I go down, that muscle down there will go down. And that's what opens and closes it. And if I go up again, bleeped. It's not supposed to be. It changes grip setting. So it's gone to what they call the quad set. No, not the quad, the tripod setting. So then it'll go up again and I'll make it bleep. And it'll go to the fist. And then if I open it up, I can pull the thumb out, and then it'll go to point the finger. So I can tell hubby off when he's a naughty boy. No, I use that on the phone. And then if it bleeps again, it goes down into what they call the key grip. So, and then if I press the back of the hand, which I'm not going to do, because often when I do that, it freezes. So I'm not going to do it. I don't use those other settings very often. I use these 4 more than anything. But it can be a pain when it freezes on me and it won't work. So last night I was trying to drink a cup of coffee, and I was trying to grip, because I have to hold the cup and then just support it with the prosthetic a little bit as well, because otherwise it wobbles a little bit yet. And what happened? It slopped all down me. I went, this bloody hand, it froze again. And I'm like, that's it. I'm taking it off.
And talking of relearning, Kim, actually, that coffee example you kind of just gave us has just got me thinking about the things that you've had to relearn then. So obviously you've got a hand transplant, you've got your bionic arm, you're in your wheelchair, and throughout this whole story, your perspective has just been incredible. Like everything is just, well, what else am I going to do? And I think that's fantastic. And you did allude right at the beginning of the episode to obviously feeling depressed and having suicidal thoughts. And I think in terms of relearning then, what are the things that you found the hardest to relearn physically and then also mentally, which probably will then link into what you were saying earlier about your suicidal thoughts?
I think the hardest thing for me was, as a hairdresser, my hair always had to look good for my job. That was from a very young age. I knew that my hair had to look good for my job, and I would always do my hair. Do my hair was depressing. And then I came across a girl, and it wasn't what I ended up buying, but she'd got something and she kind of fixed it and she was able to dry her hair somehow. But I then had this idea, as you know, because I was a hairdresser, what about a brush that's a blow dryer? So it's literally a hairdryer brush. So I bought one, and I could hold it in my stumps and I could dry my hair. Now I can do it one-handed. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I just sit there doing it with one hand. It's absolutely fantastic. Things like, you know, picking up a cup of tea or coffee. It was like, well, how am I going to do that? So for ages, I'd have like thermos cups and different things. And then one day I just went, put it in a normal cup. No, I went to visit a friend and she put it in a normal cup, and I'm thinking, oh dear, I don't know if I can pick that up, because it was like a China one as well. And I'm like,
Oh, God,
so
you'll
I thought,
break it.
wait till it goes cold and drink it cold. Anyway, I kind of just felt it with my arms, and I thought, I think that'll be all right. I don't think it's too hot now. So I just picked it up and drank it, and it was still quite warm. And so after that, I started drinking cups of tea with my arms. And
Nice.
for some reason, I've gone off tea. I'm drinking coffee all the time now. But I think that, and then I learned how to do my makeup. I just came across somehow on one of the socials this quad amputee, and her arms were much shorter than mine, and she was able to do her makeup. And I'm like, God, that's incredible. So I kept watching her videos to see how she was doing it. And then I figured out my own way of doing it. So there's no way I'm going to even try doing mascara, because I'd get it. I got droopy eyelids. So trying to get, I'd get it all over my eyes. So no, but I have to have eyeliner on, and I have to have a bit of blusher and a bit of lipstick, and then I'm done for the day. I'm okay.
But I think
mind you-
eyeliner's hard as it is. No, I thought that'd be
Yeah.
harder than mascara.
Do you know what? Everybody has said to me, you do that better with two arms than I can with one hand. I can't actually do it with one hand, because I find it shakes a bit, my hand.
Yeah. Maybe because
And
you're
so
concentrated, yeah.
I have to steady
I have
it.
to do this with my elbow, like when I do it.
So I steady it with my stump, so I can do it. Just because I'm steadying it with my stump, because I don't put my prosthetic on until after I'm dressed and done my makeup. So that goes on
Kim,
last.
you need to be doing MUA tutorials, 100%. Get them on your videos.
What's MUA?
Makeup artist.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I knew
Use
what
these
that was.
abbreviations
I
and
knew
use
what that
English,
was.
Makeup artist tutorials, because like we're saying, you're doing it better than we're doing it. And then maybe sort of, you know, away from the light-hearted side of it. So mentally and emotionally, take us to those points where you know, really felt depressed about your situation, which is completely understandable. And your daughter spoke to you about how to kind of maybe move through it, and those thoughts about being suicidal. Take us back to those moments.
Yeah. I mean, many a time I said to them, why did you not switch the machines off? Why did you let me live like this? This is no life. You know, I was kind of sat in bed for a long time, because I couldn't sit in a wheelchair for very long back then. I had to wait until my bottom was kind of strong enough to sit, and I still hate sitting all day long. But they said I'd never walk again, and I got prosthetic legs, and I do walk every now and again. So, you know, I proved them wrong. You know, they tell me I can't do something. I'm the type of person that will do it. But yeah, I think my hair, somebody else kind of brushing my hair, and Gemma could do it, my daughter, kind of how I liked it. She would do it okay, but it still wasn't how I would do it. Yeah, no, but it was okay, but it wasn't how I would do it and how I really would like it. And she would put a bit of eyeliner and a bit of lipstick on me, but other carers wouldn't do that when they came, so then I'd look awful. So I think once I could do my hair again, and once I could do my makeup again, I felt better in myself. And then I started raising awareness of sepsis, and that really, truly saved me, because I then started getting messages. You've just saved my life. Your video telling me about your symptoms actually saved my life. I remembered it when I was really unwell and I got to hospital just in time. And
Wow.
I've had, over the years, I've had bunches of flowers. I've had boxes of chocolates. I've had so many thank you cards. It's unreal. And I've even been live on several apps and had them telling me, oh, I've got those symptoms that you've just said right now, but I'm all right because I'm on antibiotics. And I'm like, no, you're not. You are not all right. If you're on oral antibiotics and you've got those symptoms, you have got sepsis and oral antibiotics do not work. Please get to hospital right now. I've had them come back on my live and tell me that they're at the hospital and that they suspect it is sepsis and they've been put on IV antibiotics.
Wow.
And I've actually saved their lives. I've had them even come on the following day and say to me, the doctor said if I hadn't have listened to you and come to hospital when I did, I wouldn't be here now.
That's amazing.
And so
It's the
that
great
makes
power,
me
isn't
know
it, of
that what I'm
social
doing
media.
is great, you know, and you get the odd troll that will say something pathetic, like the other day about my hand, as if I stole it, you know, he more or less, what was it he put? The old bitch has got someone's hand, grabbed someone's hand, took someone's hand or something. And I'm like,
Oh,
seriously? Do you not know how hand transplant works? It wasn't that bloody easy to go down the street and just go, I'm having that hand. You know, like, I'll go to the supermarket and I'll have that one, you know. Oh, God.
it's
So,
disgusting, isn't it? These
but I get the odd
people.
troll, but I just ignore those. I just ignore it. I just think there's no point in me wasting my precious breath
No,
on
there
some
isn't.
fool. I just
'Cause
ignore,
that's all they want is a
report,
reaction,
block,
because
delete, you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
because they want a reaction and they don't get a reaction. And that,
makes them more angry. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
We need to
Yeah.
ignore the trolls. We need to ignore the trolls. And obviously, Kim raising awareness is, like you said, literally saved your life. And your daughter sort of recognized you in those sort of really low moments and said, Mum, you know, similar to what you're like, let's just move past it. You're here. Let's raise awareness. So what does your day look like now? What does your week look like in terms of raising awareness and being that advocate, and obviously organ donations, disabilities? Tell us what your day, week looks like now.
well, if you spoke to my daughter, she'd say I'm glued to my iPad. I am on my iPad most of the time, or my phone, videoing. I will do my videos, I will edit my videos, and I will post them normally to drafts ready for posting. And once I've posted it on the main one, it then goes to all the others and it's posted on everywhere. So I will not always post a video. Sometimes I'll just post a video, a photo of the symptoms of sepsis and go, you know, be aware any infection can kill you, learn these symptoms, just so that people think, oh, okay, you know, I'll keep that then maybe. I just literally bang on about sepsis, organ donation and disability awareness day in, day out, just because I think there are billions of people out there that still have got absolutely no idea. And I might just hit one of those people with that video and that might help save their life. And that is what keeps me going.
Oh, no, that's
It
brilliant.
really does.
And one thing I have to ask now with the organ donations, obviously we've seen the bionic hand. Is the right hand something you want done in the future, or?
Do you know what? I thought the other day about it. I think if I went to the team at my next team meeting and said, how about we get me on the list for the right hand to be done again? I think they'd all have a heart attack.
Really?
With me nearly dying after surgery and causing them a worry, I think they'd actually have a heart attack. I don't think if I asked the question before the year's up, they'd even consider it anyway. And so I haven't. But I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'll make do with the bionic. I don't want to put my life at risk again. And it's just as simple as that. Yes, I'd love to have two hands. And I would have loved to have kept both of Georgie's hands. Because I know so much about Georgie, I feel like I'd be unfaithful to Georgie.
I know,
Do you know what I mean?
cheated on her. Can't use you.
Yeah.
I like this one better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and And it's funny because I was right-handed before and I'm
I
now
was going to ask
left-handed.
what hand, yeah.
My brain has literally switched. I do everything with my left hand.
So you
Literally.
can write.
Even when I
and-
go in the kitchen. But saying that, the other day, Steve had gone out and he'd left the Ninja on cooking a gammon, and I had to let the pressure go because it was pressure cooking. Had to let the pressure go. So I did that with the bionic because I didn't want to burn my hand just in case. And when the steam had all come out, I was like, really need to lift the lid off now. Do I do it with my hand? Is my hand strong enough to turn it and lift it and hold the weight of the lid? Or will the prosthetic? So I kind of done it with prosthetic just in case. I thought next time I'll try it. So I lifted the lid off with my bionic hand and put it over on the sink. And then afterwards I tried lifting the lid with my hand to see, can I lift that weight? And I can. So definitely it will be the hand next time.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. But it's just a matter of, trial and error with things at the moment. Sometimes the real hand will do it and sometimes it won't. And so then the bionic will do it. So it's kind of a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. So what did I try and do the other day? Oh yeah, Steve was in the bedroom and I was feeling a bit peckish. He was watching the telly and I was like, I fancy something to eat. So I opened the larder cupboard and I was like, ooh, there's a packet of popcorn there. I love that. So I grabbed it with my hand, got it to the table and I'm trying to open it. And I what I used to do as a quad was put the packet in my mouth and pull it with both my stumps. So I was trying to pull it with my hand. I'd put it in my mouth, but I was trying to pull it with my hand and I couldn't do it. So I grabbed it with the prosthetic and pulled it with the prosthetic and opened. So then I just hold the bag and I just tip them into my mouth. Actually, the bag was big enough. I put it on the side then and I could get my hand inside and grab them. So But just little things like that I'm able to do now. I made a cheesecake with my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter, for the first time. She's 5. I've been able to hold her little hand, and it's just incredible that I'm able to do things like that now. Things that I haven't been able to do. The fact that she's never known me with hands and now she's got, I've got one hand and a bionic hand, and Nanny's cool because she's got bionic
You're the
hands.
cool. I was going to say, it's making me emotional when you
I
said
know,
about able to
literally
hold her hand.
warmed
I
my
was like, oh my
heart.
God, I'm
Yeah.
gonna. But I love that you reference yourself as a cool nanny, because what your granddaughter is growing up with is someone that she can look up to. She's inspired by. She recognizes disabilities, which is so important in this world, to make sure that, we are teaching and educating people that disabilities only make you stronger. They're not, they don't weaken you. Look at all the things you can do, what you've achieved on top of a disability. And for your family, for your daughters and for your husband, what have they learned from this whole situation? Where are they now? Have they had a new outlook on life? Do you talk about it?
Don't really talk about it. We just get on with life. That's just who I am now, and that's just who we are as a family. That's just it now. I mean, if we're going anywhere different, we do kind of go, better check it out, make sure it's disability. There's disability access and disabled loos and that kind of thing, because we have been. Becky booked somewhere for my 60th for an afternoon tea, and they said it was accessible. Yeah, I could get in the door. But the toilets were upstairs.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Halfway through, I'm like, I need the loo and I need it now. That was before I was catheterized. Luckily, I'm catheterized now, so it's not such a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, I had to leave. I literally had to leave. And I had to go out into my vehicle and use a female urinal, which isn't the best of things to have to do, but otherwise I'd have wet myself, just because they didn't have a toilet.
Yeah.
And it's something that you have to kind of ask that question. Have you got accessible toilets as well? Because they
It's
just
just
think
stupid and common
you can get through the
sense,
door,
wouldn't
so it's
you?
accessible,
Yeah, but obviously, if you're in a restaurant or whatever, you eating and drinking, it's just all these things as well you think would be practical common sense. Because you see, obviously, not every disabled toilet can be up to a level of disability. Because I know you see a lot of things now where they want, obviously, the changing areas and obviously where they can obviously do the ambi lift and stuff. But just a toilet on a ground floor where you can get a wheelchair in and immobilize and be comfortable would to me if you rang up and said, "Are you accessible?" Yes, especially in a dining area.
Yeah.
It's just
I've seen
Go on.
videos recently online where they've gone, they phoned up and said, "Is it accessible?" Yes. There's just a couple of steps out the front.
Yeah.
Do you have a ramp? No. So how do I get in? Well, you can walk up the steps. I've just told you I'm in a wheelchair. How do I get up the steps? You know, and I'm just like, are these people for real? You know,
Oh,
it
we
just,
had it not long ago. Me and Hannah went into Manchester, and obviously I was in the wheelchair, and the trains weren't running between Manchester and Victoria. And they're like, "Oh, you'll have to get the tram." And I was like, "Great." And so how do we get that? I was like, "Oh, you have to walk." I went, "What part of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you can't
But
walk?"
but
Like it was just
Luce, you were great because you were really like advocating for everyone in wheelchairs for public transport, and she's on this tangent now, and she's going to carry on until something gets done because it's true, and it's like
yeah,
the forward thinking that you guys have to do
yeah.
for anywhere you go,
Mhm.
and it's not simple just to go. I'm going to go here today. It's having to plan and prepare everything, and when there is a pushback or a no, how that must make you feel, you know, where you're like, right, okay, what do I do now? I can't go to the place I wanted to. Is there a different way? And it's just a level of complexity that, you know, someone in a wheelchair doesn't have to face. And for that, I commend you
Yeah.
both for having to deal with that on a daily basis.
Yeah, a friend of mine suggested about going to a restaurant recently for a meal. And I said, I can't get in there. It's not accessible. And she went, oh, but there's only steps at the front. Can you not get in from down the back? Like, you know, and I'm like, no, even round the back, it's not accessible, apparently. I said, so I can't get in there.
No.
But
And that's the
yeah, even she
frustration,
still
isn't it? I
doesn't get
think
it.
it's not even about what you can do physically sometimes, because like you've just proven, Kim, your mind is very strong. You're a very determined lady. I'm very intrigued to know what your star sign is, actually.
Yeah, what is it?
Leo.
Leo,
It's a Leo.
yeah, I knew it'd be a strong one up there. Right. Anyway, going back. But it's when you know you can, it starts mentally affecting you then, because people are just so, I don't know, just blasé to it, or just not understanding, like, it just frustrates you. But I mean, one shout out I will give out, me and Hannah went Radio 1 not long ago, and they were absolutely fantastic with us. But unfortunately not everything is like that. But one question I do want to go back, talking about obviously kind of the mental side. And I know we spoke a lot, like what you're proud of with obviously raising awareness through sepsis. But when you look at the woman you were before in November 2017 and the Kim who's sitting in front of us here today, what do you think you'd be most proud of regarding, like, obviously what you're doing in the work? What would you be most proud of yourself? What you have achieved?
I think the fact that I rebuilt my life from something so life-changing. I mean, it was just so drastic to lose all four limbs and have your life upside down, inside out, and turned around and shaken up. I lost everything. I lost my business. I lost my home. I had nowhere to live. I had to wait to be rehoused by the council in somewhere that was supposed to be wheelchair accessible, and then fight to get a wheelchair accessible home. And I found that being disabled, people seem to think you get given everything on a plate, and oh, she's disabled, so she'll get this, she'll get that. It's not like that. You have to fight for it. You're not told that you're entitled to certain benefits. You have to find out for yourself and get them. You're not told about, you know, you've got to fight for that. You know, I've got a care package because I need carers. I had to fight for it. I was given a basic package. They expected my husband to do everything. Until I found out, well, do you not go out to the shops or anything? Do your carers not take you out? Can't you go to the cinema? Can't you do this? Can't you do that? And I was like, well, it's not in my care package. Well, it should be. So I fought and I got it, you know, but you have to fight for these things that they don't tell you.
And on that note, like, you know, so my mum has a 24-hour carer, and it was very important that she was taken out. So she's also in a wheelchair and things like this. But for me, I was like, mentally, my mum can't just sit in all day, because they wanted to give her a care package that wasn't 24 hours. And I was like, so you're expecting her to sit in a chair, not move, but by the way, she would try and get up because mentally she wants to some stimulation,
Mhm.
she then can have an accident and fall over. So we got this 24-hour care package, which I'm so grateful for. But then it was trying to explain to the carers that you got to take her out still. You got to do things with her. Like, oh, she's just going to sit in this depressive state and not be able to get any kind of stimulation. So it's that fighting, and
Yeah.
that is what is so sort of relentless and frustrating when you're trying to fight for just a basic right and just for someone to go out and enjoy their life because something's happened to them. Yes, it's no one's fault, of course, but it's like, yeah, it's that kind of thought process of people thinking, oh, they just get what they want, they get given this, they get given that. Well, actually, the mental state that people end up getting themselves in because there's so many roadblocks, so many restrictions. So we can absolutely resonate with that, both of us, Lucy and I, from just different perspectives. But yeah, the proud side of it, rebuilding your life, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of where I've come from and what I've done and that I've managed to rebuild my life. You know, people are always saying, "Oh, you're so strong, you're an inspiration." I don't see it. I'm just me. I'm just doing what I feel is what I was saved to do. I believe that, you know, my story is powerful and it needs to be heard to help save lives, and I will keep on banging on about it until the day I die. No one will ever stop me. I don't care how many trolls are out there that come and, you know, kind of put a nasty comment. They won't stop me from commenting about sepsis every bloody day until people get that message and it starts saving lives, because it is just so important.
No,
Yeah.
and we'll back you 100% along the way. And
Yeah.
with that, if someone was listening to this today, Kim, and they're facing something life-changing, like we've just repeated, what would you want them to hear to give them that hope?
I think they need to focus on something that they can do, something that would make a difference to their life, to give them that hope that they can still carry on. I think finding something to do, you know, be it a hobby, be it going shopping, doing whatever, something that makes you happy again, something that you can do that's maybe not going to cost you an absolute fortune, would help. I mean, it certainly helped me raising awareness of sepsis and doing things for charities. I just like helping others. So, you know, if I can do that, then I'll keep doing it. It makes me
And
happy. So,
And that is some amazing advice and guidance to give people, because regardless of the situation people are going through, if someone's going through a traumatic situation, there's no light at the end of the tunnel at first. It's literally like, how am I going to get out of this? So that is amazing advice that you've given. And I think all through this whole episode and throughout your whole story, your positivity is just shone through, and we're super grateful that you've been able to share this with us, and we know it's going to resonate with people.
I do
And I
want to
think,
mention just
yeah,
quickly,
no,
this
go
is
for it.
probably why I don't want to get this out, because you have been nominated, obviously, for awards and recognised for
Yes,
your advocacy work as well. And me and Hannah have voted for you, even though we live
yes,
nowhere near Milton Keynes, but we have been on and we've
absolutely.
voted. We have friends in Milton Keynes, so we all do.
We do.
yeah,
So,
you
again,
don't
we
have
just
to
want
live
to.
in Milton Keynes to vote to us.
Yeah,
To
well, I
vote
did.
for us.
That's what I mean. It
You have
works.
to live in
So-
Milton Keynes to be voted for, but you don't have to live in Milton Keynes to
Yeah.
vote. So,
So we
yeah.
have put that vote. So I
Oh,
know
thank you.
Hannah was going to our signature question, but I do want to ask, like, how does that feel to be nominated now?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely. It shows that people think that, you know, maybe I do deserve an award, and it's nice.
Yes,
It is really, really nice. But there's one last thing I'd like to get in there, if you don't mind. If
Yeah.
yes,
people
of
are
course.
organ donors, please have that conversation with your family, because I wasn't aware until last year that your family will have to be the ones that give consent for any limbs or organs to be taken. So without their consent,
Oh.
the hospitals can't take the limbs or organs, even though you are an organ donor. So
Right, because I was going to
please
say that,
have
because I
that
thought you were.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
thought you were registered, or you have to register out now, don't they? If
Yeah,
that was a rule. So
yeah. But your
that's
family has to
interesting.
give consent. And so
Even though
many
you
people,
already
yeah,
have done
even
it,
though
they
you're a
need
donor,
to.
even if you've
Wow.
automatically signed up, even if you've actually signed up yourself on the website, your family still has to give consent.
What would
Right.
happen then if you had no family to give consent? Would they then just default back to the fact that you want to be an organ donor?
I've got no idea. Yeah, I've got no
Oh,
idea.
God.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
You
If
think
there
there'd be
was
like
no
a
family,
separate
maybe,
thing you
but
could sign, couldn't you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, you'd think so, but yeah, no, there's not, and they have to
Well,
ask for family consent.
well, fight
thank you
for
for
it,
So
that.
Kim. Fight
Yeah.
for it.
yeah, so
We're
it's,
back,
it's really
definitely.
important that people
Well,
know about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And I think that like you know, on the nomination side of it, like you've already explained throughout this podcast how much you do, and you know, your videos basically going viral and it's hitting one person. I'm sure it's hitting so many more people, which is why the nomination has landed in your lap. And obviously we wish you the best of luck with that. And we
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to see the outcome. And we are manifesting a win for you right now,
Yeah.
Kim.
We know
And
Saturday
yeah,
night. It's Saturday night, this Saturday.
Oh, it's so
yeah.
close.
I
So
Yeah.
love
on
that.
Sunday, everyone will find out because there will be a
Yes.
video
Oh,
out
we'll
on
see those
Sunday, and
pictures
everyone will
with
see
your
my awards
awards.
if I get any.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
we'll have to redo this outro if that happens. But no,
I might put my
just
mum's address in tomorrow.
but no, thank you honestly so much for sharing everything. Like we mentioned, we're so grateful, and you know, you coming on this podcast to share, and we are again blown away, educated, you know, inspired. I've learned so much, and that tattoo going up your arm from Georgie, honestly. Wow, wow, wow. But to finish off, to make sure we can, you know, follow you in your next chapter of your life, can you tell us who Kim is becoming now?
I think Kim is just becoming an ambassador for sepsis awareness, really. That's it. Just a very independent as possible woman that wants to save lives. That's kind of it.
Love that.
Yeah,
That's all we need. We need more
exactly.
people like Kim.
And I think you've shown, like you say, whilst life doesn't always give us the future that we imagined, it can
No.
still give us purpose. Look at you, meaning,
yeah.
hope. And also you found joy as well in this and helping others. So I hope this conversation encourages people to learn more about sepsis. They'll be downloading it and, you know, keeping a little pouch or something like that of what's going on in their wallets or purses, and obviously understand the incredible resilience as well of your
I always
human
joke
spirit.
to people when they're in the pub, saying to them, it costs you a fortune to get legless. I'm legless all the time. Don't cost me nothing. You know, and they're like, oh, you can't say that. And I'm like, but why not? It's my disability. If I
You
want to
can
say it and
say
have a
that.
laugh, I
You're
can have a laugh.
Yeah. You're the one person who can say it,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
And we love that you've completely, you know, got that the lightheartedness of these episodes are what, you know, makes people, you know, relate more, and that, you know, we can have that lighthearted humor around it. And you've been like that throughout this whole episode, Kim, and you've really made this subject so interesting to learn about, but also, like I said, the positivity that you are bringing us is just amazing, and I feel very humbled that I've been able to speak to you,
Thank you.
and learn all about you, and just what a fantastic person you are. So thank you so much. I hope everyone that's listening and watching feels the same as we do. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
And we have got so many amazing guests that we've spoken to, so definitely head back and listen to our previous episodes, like, subscribe, all of it, because we want more people like Kim. The more we get, we get incredible people, and we just love what we are doing right now. So thank you so much, Kim.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Pleasure. And on that note, we shall wrap it up, and I'll say that's a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me.
And a
Goodbye from me.
Woo!
Yay!
Yeah! I love that.